2013 is literally the beginning of the Aquarian age, and the major theme of the Aquarian age is brotherly and sisterly love. In other words, learning to love others as you would want to be treated yourself. So, the old paradigm has been one of seduction, which means connecting with people primarily through the sacral chakra, which is the emotional center, and that is run literally by the inner child. So when we meet someone and we size them up as a potential, conquest, we're connecting lower self to lower self. Now, the time for creating connections with other people from this center has passed, all right? Because what ultimately ends up happening is we re-wound each other in the way we were wounded as children. So, it's time for us to grow up. And to do that, I would like to explain the 3 stages of awakening the conscious man and the 3 stages of awakening the conscious woman. First of all, the brothers. When a man is unconscious, he operates primarily out of his masculine, but it's an unconscious masculine. It's what was sold to him or modeled to him by the culture, and he hasn't questioned it. So in other words, he tries to appear masculine, whatever he thinks masculine looks like, whether that's driving a big car, having big muscles, or a big bank account. The second stage is when he rejects his masculinity, and he does this primarily in order to win the approval of the feminine, whether that's his mother, whether that's partners in his life, or whether that's simply a projection put on all women. And what this looks like is the snag, the sensitive new age guy, and this is the man who is leading out of his feminine. In other words, he's rejected being the traditional male because he doesn't want to be, this unconscious oaf that dominates people. But in doing that, he's thrown the baby out with the bathwater, and he's often passive, unable to make decisions. And so, with the women around him, they get very frustrated and resentful because they feel like they need to make all the decisions, they need to organize everything, and they end up wearing the pants and being the masculine polarity in the relationship. And this is why the nice guys end up getting rejected, and they're like, well, wasn't I trying hard to be everything I thought you wanted to be? The third stage of the awakened man is the man who has been to Brotherhood Lodge, the man who has sat in circle. And the reason for this is, this enables him to see all the aspects of his masculinity mirrored back to him, so that he can accept that he is all of those traits, be they strengths, be they vulnerabilities. He is all of those stories, so that he can fall in love with his masculine self and open his heart to receiving the love of brotherhood. This is the crucial key to a man awakening his conscious masculinity. Then he's got his feminine on board, so that he's not this, unbalanced dominant oaf, but he's leading with his foundation gender. So, in light of that, I'm training men via an online facilitator course to run men's circles. Now you might think, well, why is a woman training men to run men's groups? Well, basically I have nearly 20 years running circle for women, and I've tried a test case where I applied the same template to men, and the feedback was overwhelmingly positive. I also have a lot of insight about how to heal the masculine, which I would love to impart with the brothers, because it is not my place to be running men's circles, but I can certainly pass on the tools that I've learnt over the past 2 decades about group facilitation and how to structure men's circles. In addition, I've also channeled a way for men to attune to the solar cycle, because if a man is not connecting to the solar cycle, which is what rules the masculine energy, he cannot stand literally in his full power. So I offer this as a gift. And it's up to those that feel an inner calling to step into positions of leadership and to hold these circles, because now is the time the men are ready to gather. The men are ready to look at their shadow, so they're no longer Peter Pan hanging out with the lost boys. And equally for the women, I'm training women to run Red Tent Women's Circles starting the 15th of February. So again, this is a 6-week online course for women all over the world that have been asking me how they can learn to facilitate red tents. And to that end, I'd also like to just outline the 3 stages of awakening the empowered woman. The first stage, similarly, is when a woman acts out of her unconscious feminine. So in other words, she's trying to be the perfect girlfriend, the perfect wife, the perfect mother. She's trying to live up to the propaganda that's been put on her, which is not necessarily her authentic self. Okay, so after a while, she's kind of like, well, I'm so busy trying to be nice. Why do I still seem to, you know, get kicked in the teeth by people? So then she ends up rebelling her feminine. Now this is an individuation stage. It is a stage that is inevitable. And this is when women swing to the other polarity and they operate more out of their masculine. This is when they become, you know, the ball breaker, the Amazon. And we saw this culturally in the 60s when that Aquarian cusp energy came in and women were operating out of their masculine, out of mind, seeking political power, and then of course the shoulder pads in the 80s. So, you know, ultimately this is when women develop their masculine self, develop their ability to take care of themselves. But if a woman continues just to operate out of this self, she will become more and more disempowered because she's not connecting primarily with her foundation gender, which is her true power, her true strength. And the way that a woman can do that and step up to the 3rd stage of the awakened woman is again by coming and sitting in circle with women who have the intent of looking at their stuff, so that as that talking stick is passed around, she gets to see all the different aspects that are universal to all of us, so that she can see the full kaleidoscope of her feminine psyche and again fall in love and see, oh my goodness, we all have those strengths, we all have those foibles, and that is okay, so that she can open her heart in a spirit of true sisterhood and not fear other women as competition. So again, I invite both the brothers, the sisters, it's time. It is time to gather in circle, because we cannot do sacred union until we have learnt to fall in love with our foundation gender and to experience brotherly, sisterly love. So too, we can't create conscious communities without communion, which is sitting in circle, developing that emotional maturity, that psychological closeness and intimacy into me-see with our own gender, to really heal and empower that gender, which prepares us for dealing with our opposite, and so we don't unconsciously enact all of our shadow dramas onto those outside of ourselves, be it in relationship or be it in community. Because if we try and create community still coming from the inner child, okay, or from the base chakra, we will, you know, lose ourselves in a delusion of seduction. And, you know, this is not the essence of the Aquarian age, okay? The Aquarian age is about brotherly love, not brotherly lust. So I invite you to check out my online courses. They're at my website, which is starofishtar.com. And for those who feel called in their heart to step up and hold the space, you do not need a string of qualifications. You just need that inner fire, that inner calling. And if that inner calling is there, trust you have what it takes to hold these groups. You don't need to be a teacher. You just need to be willing to hold the space for people to be authentic. So have a wonderful 2013, and I look forward to meeting the leaders